I'm Paul Malchow, one of the creators and designers of Union City Alliance, a deck and board building game for 2 to 4 players or solo. And today, I'm here to talk to you about Odysseus, one of our first playable heroes from the Heroes Unite based game. Odysseus, you may well be familiar with. If you're a fan of Greek mythology, the name certainly rings a bell, because this Odysseus is that Odysseus, with a slight tweak. Odysseus' story begins, as it always does, in ancient Greece, on Ithaca. But this is before the Trojan Wars. This is before the Iliad. This is before his famous Odyssey. This story starts when Odysseus is a teenager, Prince Odysseus, and it begins with him being abducted by a time-traveling robot. Because in the here and now, in modern Union City, there is a scientist obsessed with Greek mythology, and in order to test his new chrono technology, he set Odysseus as the target. But this technology was far from perfect, and this time-traveling robot abducted Odysseus before he was famous, and brought him to the here and now. Odysseus being Odysseus, he didn't take it well, and battled the robot as they traveled through time. Finally, they landed here in modern Union City, where Odysseus won in his first epic battle, defeating the robot, and unfortunately, trapping him here in modern times. Now, young Odysseus is on his first great odyssey, his big adventure, one in a modern world of gods and monsters, heroes and epics. And, like all good Odysseus stories, it revolves around him trying to find his way home. But that doesn't mean he's not having a good time along the way. This Odysseus is brash, bold, fun-loving. He's not quite as clever as he'll get with experience, but what he lacks in wisdom he makes up for with youthful enthusiasm. When you choose to play Odysseus, there are some major themes that are presented in his deck and playstyles that he is particularly built to encourage. Odysseus is first and foremost an explorer, always on the lookout for the next adventure. His origin deck has a higher than average speed, mostly due to Modern Odyssey, which makes him better than most at finding new panels. This feeds into the ability on his character card, Prince's Prerogative, which is an activate ability saying, gain issue number valor that can only be exerted on a panel that you explored this turn. Odysseus gets resources, but ones that can only be used in that new location. Even if he explores and goes back to an old location, he could not then use that valor. However, Odysseus thrives in these new territories. Modern Odyssey, in his base deck, is 1 valor and 2 speed, meaning he is imminently able to explore, find new panels, and get himself valor to buy things there. But speed isn't the only way that he can find new panels. One of his least expensive solo cards is the Wanderer. For only 1 heroism, the skill card is a legacy with an activate, saying, dismiss this card to explore an adjacent panel at no cost. If you explored a panel this way, draw issue extra cards at the end of your next draw phase. Using Wanderer, Odysseus can find a new panel, have extra resources to exert there using the Prince's Prerogative ability, and then draw extra cards at the end of his turn. That really makes exploration a boon to Odysseus, far beyond what it is for other heroes, because everybody finds new potential on new panels, but Odysseus is uniquely suited to taking advantage to that. While Odysseus is not the most powerful straight-up fighter, he uses his speed and cunning to gain an edge. This is most notable with Challenge of the Bow, a might card that is also a legacy and activate. This is gear and skill. It's a solo card that only costs 2. It says, if you have not moved yet this turn, dismiss this card to move to a panel in range 2. So, when you play this card, you get 3 might. It stays in play until you're able to activate and dismiss it to move to another panel. Players will be able to use Challenge of the Bow both to get into a fight or to deal some damage and then get away before being counterattacked on the threat phase. Odysseus' other strength is quick thinking and resourcefulness, represented by how he discards cards and the way he can use that to his advantage. For example, Helm of Kings. Helm of Kings is another one of his solo cards. It's a 5 cost, and it's gear and mystic. The legacy ability is The first time you discard a card each turn, you may draw a card. It also has an activate to allow you to dismiss this card for valor. So with Helm of Kings, the first time Odysseus discards a card each turn, he gets a new one, meaning that discard is effectively free and allowing him to cycle his deck that much faster. Note that if you use this ability during your action phase, discarding cards during the threat or the peril phase won't get you new cards. It's only the first time you discard a card each turn. Another way Odysseus can get clever about his discards is with Hero of the Iliad. This legacy says once per turn, when you discard a card, you may deal 2 damage to an enemy on your panel. So, the same way that Helm of Kings allows you to draw when you discard, Hero of the Iliad lets you do damage when you discard. Again, only once per turn. Now, in Union City Alliance, players can't discard at will. On their action phase, they can play cards and not use those resources, but that's not the same as discarding. There are specific triggers which allow heroes to discard. Most often, that's cards with gambits. For example, Odysseus' Clever Captain, one of his origin cards with 1 speed. This says in-hand gambit self, discard this card to gain 2 defense. Many gambit cards do require the player to discard that card or other cards, but Odysseus is able to convert that discard into more than just the defense using cards like Hero of the Iliad and Helm of Kings. The theme of Odysseus' discards giving him extra resources and tactics extends not only to Odysseus' origin and solo cards, but also to his team-up deck. For example, Idol of Billions is a team-up card. It says, activate, discard a card to gain 2 extra valor. This gives extraordinary buying power or heroism to whoever gets Idol of Billions, in addition to giving them the capacity to discard on their turn. Even if that extra valor isn't essential, sometimes it's good to turn less powerful cards into extra draws or extra damage. One of Odysseus' best cards is Trojan Horse. This is the team-up version, but there's also a solo card. This gear card gives you 3 valor when it's played, but the most prominent feature is its in-hand gambit, which is range 0, meaning it can defend any hero on your panel, and says discard this card to gain 3 defense and draw 2 cards. That kind of draw, giving you more cards in your hand than you had when you were first attacked, is extraordinary. And coupled with Helm of Kings or other discard effects, this becomes a winning combination second to none. Time Lost Prince is Odysseus' most powerful team-up card. Its Empower says discard this card to double printed resources on a card in your hand for this turn. That's hugely versatile and can turn okay cards into good cards and good cards into extraordinary cards. Pair that with a card like Ithacan Warrior, a 3 might card that is gear and skill, says when this card is in your hand or play area once per turn, when you discard a card, you may deal an enemy on your panel 2 damage. So, if you have this in your hand and you discard Time Lost Prince, you can deal an enemy on your panel 2 damage using the unique text on Ithacan Warrior. Then, using the Empower on Time Lost Prince, double the might on Ithacan Warrior to 6, meaning that with these 2 cards, Odysseus can do 8 damage. So, while not designed to be the greatest warrior, Odysseus certainly has the capacity to become that. A cunning Odysseus player will also prioritize union cards like Rapid Processing or Fall in Love that give more chances to trigger these effects. When you play Odysseus, the board is likely going to be bigger than in an average game. Your deck is going to be more suited to your playstyle because of the early valor that Odysseus is able to give you and the opportunities that the exploration unlocks. Odysseus is a fun character to play and a great example of one of Union City's most prominent heroes. You can check out a lot more about Odysseus on our website, and be sure to back our Kickstarter to get your own copy of these Odysseus cards in Union City Alliance Heroes Unite, coming out this October. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in Union City, heroes!